Welcome to everyone who's watching. If you did not know, Light Church is doing Movember. This is actually filmed in October, so my mow isn't quite there yet. I'm working on it. So hopefully, if you see me in the street, this will probably be the second week in November. It will look lush and full and manly. And we're going to chat mental health today. Movember, looking at men's health. And so we're going to chat mental health. I'll move my mate Jason. How are you, mate?
Good, man. Good to see you.
And he's going to help us out in this. So tell us just a little bit about yourself, mate.
For sure. Well, I'm a father of two.
Yep.
Been married for coming up to enough years. I'm not sure. I should know that. Well, I was going to say this. 17 years, I think we're coming to married. Yeah, absolutely. That is 17 years.
Yeah.
I work in a school as a student mentor / chaplain. Enjoy going to Life Point Church back in Adelaide and love my sport, love my basketball.
Yep.
It's been a rough year for the Crows, so let's not talk about football.
Let's not talk about the Crows. That's not important. Port lost, that's important. Anyway, Jason, tell us a bit about your mental health journey.
For sure. Well, it's been an interesting journey. For us, it was probably really began 13 years ago. We were very excited, expecting our first child, and all the leading up to Sam being born was great. But when my wife was actually, Lisa, going into labour, all going along normally. I was kicking back eating a hash brown with my mother-in-law, which my wife wasn't heaps happy about, but we were having a good time. And all of a sudden, it was like a scene from ER or something. Like bells are going, beeps are going, and doctors are rushing into the room and throwing a gown on us. And at that point, they realised that our son's heart was dropping, and so Lisa actually kind of went into a bit of shock. We got rushed away to have a emergency cesarean, which was crazy, not really what we had been prepared for. And it was an amazing time. Sam was born, very healthy, but it became evident pretty quickly that she was struggling mentally.
Your wife?
Yeah, Lisa was really struggling mentally. And that kind of began like a bit of a long journey for her with anxiety.
Yeah. And
following on from that, from the ramifications of that, my own journey with depression as well.
Yeah. Right. And so a lot of us have experienced that. Some have not. Some probably aspects.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to define sometimes. Can you give us a picture of what that journey was like and what it was like to be living with that depression?
Yeah. Well, for me personally, I guess the alarm bell started ringing when I'm a pretty kind of happy-go-lucky, sort of laid-back kind of guy. Never been in a fight in my life, but I remember this moment when I was just driving through a car park, and I had this bizarre thought of, man, I hope someone cuts me off because I really just want to beat someone up, which was like so foreign to me. And then I found this other thought being in the movies, sort of hoping, I hope these guys behind me start kicking my chair because I just really wanted to fight someone, which was bizarre. I found this
you're
anger.
You're a teddy bear, mate.
I'd like to think so. I'm definitely soft and spongy like one at the moment. Thank you, COVID. So I found this anger in me, and that kind of progressed into like an emotional numbness, and then into kind of helplessness and hopelessness, and real loss of my passions, real loss of the things that I enjoyed.
Wow.
And a real spiral, and really difficult. We all have up and down days. That's normal. And you can talk yourself out of it, or you bounce back the next day. But this was something that beyond my capacity to snap myself out of, and really uncharacteristic. Yeah.
And so in that, how low and how severe did that get? Was that?
Yeah, well, really, to be honest, and I'll say this, and this is very foreign to me now, but really thoughts of suicide were as common and as natural as breathing to me.
Wow.
There was a period of time, and this was a 2-year kind of spell for me of depression. But it was very normal to sort of think, well, there's a way, probably a pretty quick way to kind of end this. Yeah. It wasn't like a dramatic thought. It was like it actually makes sense. This will actually be probably better off for everyone if I
Wow.
make that choice. And that just made a lot of sense.
So in that moment, it's a rational thought for
It
you.
seemed extremely rational. I remember one night waking up in the middle of the night and having a desire to cut myself, just like you would wake up in the middle of the night having a desire for a like cheeky midnight snack. It was like, and I thought, and you kind of have these moments of like, what the heck is going on? Yeah, this isn't right. This isn't normal. Thankfully, I shared this with Lisa, and she was having her own journey, and so we knew that there was help and what was actually going on for us. Yeah.
So tell us a bit about that journey from that place, I guess, to where you are now, almost.
For sure. Well, obviously, like thankfully having, my wife getting support for her own mental health journey, we knew that there was kind of physical and chemical things going on. And so for me, the first stop was to go see a GP. And in that, just understanding the journey I was on, that it's normal, that it made sense. Like I shared, obviously, Lisa was unwell, but also within a period of that first few months, actually, like a couple of my friends passed away, my parents separated, a few close friends who were really good support moved away. So there's all these things happening at once, and so the doctors would say, you've had a lot of loss and grief. It makes sense for you now to be in this place. And he was a great GP, so as well as kind of recommending some medication, also some really great practical stuff like exercise and some stuff for us relationally of how we can kind of support each other, and also go see someone to speak to a bit more professionally about other things going on.
Yeah. And so coming out of that, you got the GP, you got the medication, you got these tips. Was it a quick turnaround? Was it over time? Like, can you give us a bit of a picture of the process and how that came?
Yeah, so it really was probably a 2-year journey.
Yeah.
Trying a few different medications. Another huge thing that was really significant and important for me at that time was I had a couple of really good close friends who were like from my church, but I found it really hard to go to church during that time.
Yeah.
But they just kind of loved me as I was.
Yeah.
I could talk really frankly like I am now about what I was actually experiencing and thinking, and they didn't freak out. They were just there. We'd even be able to kind of joke about it, and they just kind of loved me as I was in that moment. So that was really important. And so that journey out was really a combination of the community support that I had, my choices in terms of like exercising, also the medication was helpful. I felt that it made a baseline, and also my faith was kind of really important in ways that I sort of thought about. And I really kind of feel like God sort of revealed himself to me, but it was, there wasn't a zap, there wasn't a magic pill. There are up and down days, like better days and worse, but it was about a process of 2 years to be actually really free from all that.
We're in November, and that's physical health, mental health, emotional, even spiritual health, and I think guys, we're happy chatting about physical health. We love to pay each other out when we get a bit tubby, and deep down I think guys know what we need to do. It's a bit more practical, a bit easier, and sometimes I think particularly with this mental health, so many guys suffer, well, guys and women, it's not, well, we're talking a bit about guys today, but it's everyone can suffer in silence by themselves a bit. And so I'm sure there's people watching this who have gone through and are in that moment now where they're suffering with stuff. And it might be depression, it could be anxiety, it could be a number of these different things. What would you say to people who are watching this, engaging this, who are suffering?
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, you're normal. You're not the only one who's ever felt like this, or probably even feeling like this right now within your own sphere. There will be people who can relate. And so having the courage to maybe find someone who you think is safe, to have that conversation with, to know that you're not walking it alone. One of the hardest things about mental health journey is you do feel really isolated, even probably more so in a crowded room or around your friends, you feel so disconnected. And so to kind of start actually sharing some of that stuff, it can freak people out, but to begin with that first step of sharing with people, and then get to a GP. They've seen it, and not to blanket everything, like people go through different things in different ways, but a GP is a great place to kind of start that conversation and they can kind of guide you through.
Yeah. And you talk about a GP and getting those friends. Guys aren't great at asking for help, are
Not often.
we? Not often.
Not in emotional stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
we struggle to even know what's going on within
Yeah.
ourselves, let alone actually be able to articulate it. But yeah.
I've been blessed. I haven't gone through some of this stuff, but I've had friends who have.
Yeah.
And if we can maybe talk to people who are maybe in a place to support, maybe friends, family, people from our community who are struggling.
Yeah.
You talked about the importance of community.
Big time.
And how hard it is and how isolated it can be to live in this mental health struggle.
Yeah.
What can we as friends, as family, as a community do to support people?
Yeah. So one of the, I think, the most encouraging things is, and we talk about this quite a lot, there's a thing, they call it the Hamilton scale, and it's actually what they kind of measure your mental health journey on. And so like if you're at a 0, that's healthy. If you're at a 68, that's like suicidal.
Yeah.
Taking medication and getting the right medication can move you like a few points along that scale, but they've found that actually connecting with people and having a good like community support base can move you along that scale 20 points, which is a huge, like the biggest effect in terms of.
So basically what you're saying, having a healthy community around you, so not just people but close friendships can make the biggest difference.
The biggest difference, absolutely. So connection is the biggest thing, and so for you, we can feel really like you can feel heaps helpless with someone who's struggling with mental health because you want to be able to say something to make them feel better right now, and you can't. What you can be is presence, and it's actually like long term, just connection and presence, just being there,
being a mate.
Being a mate, being someone who's like, hey, call me when you're feeling down, shoot a text, just sort of saying, thinking of you today, how are you going? Just tell me actually how you are. Yeah. If someone feels safe enough to say, you know what, I just don't want to be here anymore, they feel like they can share that with you, that's actually better than you having some golden nugget of wisdom that's going to fix them. Just listen. The best thing to do is listen and let go of that thought of, I need to fix them. There's a lot of other things going on that will take time to heal, but having a place of safety and support is actually the best thing you can be and do for someone struggling, and encourage them to go to a doctor and even go with them there.
Awesome. Before we finish, we just want to refer people to a bunch of resources that are out there.
Yeah.
And so some in the caption, below this video, there'll be some list of resources you can reach out to. What are some off the top of your head?
So things like Beyond Blue and Lifeline, great resources. I believe like there's an organisation called SOS, which is I think
SOS Yorks.
Yeah, SOS Yorks, specific to your place, fantastic. There can be other things to listen to, like whether they're mental health based podcasts. Those sort of areas can be great resources as well. Just so you know, you're not crazy for struggling with this stuff. You're actually quite normal.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks heaps for sharing today, Jason.
Pleasure.
Jason's actually going to be speaking at our Sunday services on Sunday, November 29th, the last Sunday of November. So he's going to be speaking at Edithburgh at 10 a.m, at Drossum 2 p.m. We're also going to have a big lunch that day, and all the money raised is going to go towards Movember. So I encourage you, if you're a part of our church, if you've never been along, come out, come meet Jason. He's going to be speaking that day. We're going to have a fun day. All the mows will be in full growth, in the fullness of beauty of the male mustache, and it's going to be a great time together. So we'd love to invite you to church then, Sunday, November 29th with Jason.
That'd be awesome.
And thank you for sharing.
Oh, thanks heaps for having me. It's the best.
It's been awesome having you. Thank you for being real, open and honest. And for you out there, if you're struggling, you're not weird, you're not unusual, you're normal. There's so many guys and women out there struggling with this stuff. And so there's people who love you, who support you. And for the rest of us who maybe aren't or maybe gone through that, let's reach out to people. Let's be a mate, let's be a friend, let's look out for one another. And we're in this together. Let's be healthy blokes together. Thanks for watching, and take care.